Hello and welcome to OT, the podcast. We're here celebrating a new month of a new year and a new lunar new year. Andy, how are you?
Sorry, Felix. That was a mouthful. That sentence really dragged on.
Yeah, there's no commas in there at all.
Because the year of the dragon, the lunar new year of the dragon.
Yeah. Do you know any dragons in your life?
Metaphorical dragons, for sure.
My mum is a year of the dragon.
Oh, there is a whole bunch of people on the internet that think dragons are real.
There's a weird thing about dragons is, I'm sure these are the people on the internet. Maybe I'm one of them. It's one of those things like they don't know why all these separate cultures have come up with a similar sort of origin.
Their own take, yeah. I recently had a sort of, one of those like conversations that sort of turns into a semi-argument. And then
it's with me.
Not what you like the ones we have about dragons being real or not. And so the person, my mate, was kind of, no, dragons are real. And then they just they put their flag in that hill. And for whatever reason they were thinking like kimono dragons, or they were thinking about dinosaurs in their head, or whatever it was. But it was like, no, dragons are like a real thing. And I think they meant dinosaurs, but the flag went in and it wouldn't come out. And then after 10 minutes, they pretty quickly realized the mistake at the start, but just couldn't
back down.
Yeah, I think he just tried to gaslight it out of the whole situation. But yeah, dragons are not.
I mean, it'd be cool if dragons were real, but
speaking of dragons, like a lizard.
Where are we going with this, Andy?
LVMH Watch Week 2024 and more.
Yes. We will talk about it shortly, but there's other new developments where we're doing a bit of new trialing, Andy.
We are. If you have accidentally clicked on the YouTube link, you'd notice that we're talking to you with visuals. We've moved from just A to AV.
And now you can't just hear me in gorgeous stereo surround sound. You can now look at me in gorgeous, hopefully 4K, but maybe
hopefully. There surely is people out there that have never seen, us talk, but seen what we look like. So that's exciting.
That is exciting.
I'm feeling shocked.
I feel compelled at this point to say, like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications.
Yeah. This will be housed on YouTube. So, leave comments and all that sort of stuff. Get us some momentum. Get us 50 viewers or something, make the investment in the viral. Tech. Yeah, and look, it's going to be pretty rough. You'll see this from the screen share we're about to do. We're going to figure it out. We're going to add animations and graphics, probably flames, fire, dragons.
Yeah, Guy Fieri, GIFs.
That stuff will come. Yep. For now, we're still figuring out video and frame rates and lighting.
Welcome to 2024.
Yeah, we're at the point it's so delayed that it's relevant again. It's the cycle. So
hey, that is a perfect segue, Andy, for relevant. One woman in the world determines what is relevant, I believe. Taylor Swift.
Yes. So,
the woman who got Fox News to admit that climate change was an issue. She has also jumped on board one of the most exciting trends of the recent 12 months. And will now make it go mainstream. Watches and Wonders 2025. We're going to see heaps of watches released to be worn around the neck.
This trend has a choke on celebrities at the moment.
So she rocked up to the Grammys wearing a custom piece of jewelry featuring a old Concord watch. And it was one of the maybe 2 or 3 moments that occur every year when watch journalists feel like they have to scramble to get a exclusive
story out. Yeah, it's bigger than a Rolex leak, bigger than a new ambassador. This was just massive. One of my favorite comments was, "How does she tell the time?"
She is the time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the other thing about it. It's set to midnight, which is apparently like a album title or a song title.
Big reference. Also was linking up with Lana Del Rey, her bestie.
Okay. Yes, so it is from a custom jeweler who she's worked with in the past. It's very cool. I want to see more watches worn in a non-traditional and potentially, I'm not saying non-serious, but unorthodox ways. I like it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, amazing. Very cool to see.
What's next, Andy? Look at this. This watch that everyone's been talking about, released this week at the start of the week, the Piaget Polo 79. It's a tribute to the original Piaget Polo, released in 1979. This is hot stuff. What do you think, Andy? What's your initial from the screen take of it?
Well, my first question was, what is the size?
38 millimeters. It's, 38 is the new 39.
Amazing. This watch, if you were to, buy the vintage one, which is how the conversation with you started, was we were sort of talking about how these vintage watches are just ultra collectible at the moment. What a great time to be Elton John selling your collection off, because that is just tick every box. Fun stone dial, precious metal, brand that no one really has sort of cared about for the last, since the 70s. That's what's cool.
Harsh
but fair. Let's be honest. So this is a 10 grand vintage watch, but you get it new. It's probably going to be 50 or 60 at least.
Yeah,
full
it's going
gold.
to be expensive.
It's going to be expensive, but I think you're going to get a lot of peace of mind with a modern purchase. That what I kind of wonder about with all these sort of vintage, Cartiers and Piagets and kind of unloved watches. And for a long time, these watches weren't really worth servicing or doing major overhauls on.
Yep.
And I just wonder, or they weren't worn, which is probably the worst thing that could happen to them. I wonder if there's going to be like a bunch of issues around the lack of kind of, TLC on these vintage watches, that people are going to go, oh yeah, I got into this for like a reasonable price, or it was kind of affordable.
Yeah.
Or I bought a lacquer dial or a stone dial, and I'm going to be met with all of these sort of very, very expensive or just unfixable.
You're going to spend 50 grand getting that repaired by Piaget, their archival service or whatever.
Yeah, or you can't, or they don't have the stone dial and it gets taken out and broken, or the lacquer chips. And so I do wonder. Or if you've gone a quartz movement, having, all that
Batteries.
Well, all the movement itself has issues, and it's,
There's a few things there that, I think you're right about that sort of, this is my sort of take on this trend in general, is that there's a lot of people, who have known this is coming and are hyping up the vintage models to, obviously make, fun and profit on them.
Yeah.
And doing that because they can get into it because they have been undervalued and they're still sort of unloved, and there's an opportunity there, which I think Richemont has been very clever on capitalizing on. And it's something they did with the Vacheron 222. It's the same sort of trajectory we've seen there. Secondly, there is a lot of merit to this watch. It's a really interesting, it's their sort of take on that 70s sports watch. It was, I believe, originally quartz. There's actually quite a bit of interesting variation in it. So there's a bit of rarity there that, that depth that collectors look for. It was the first Piaget to have a name. It's got a bit of that sort of celebrity stuff, like it featured in Casino and, a few other sort of, famously we've talked about Sylvester Stallone in Tulsa King wearing one.
Yeah.
But to your point about serviceability and repair, most brands I would agree. I would say yes. Like, there are other brands out there that won't have the technology to, repair a 70s quartz movement. Piaget, I think, could, because they developed their own quartz movement. They did Beta 21. They didn't like Beta 21 because it was too thick. And then they did their own one that was skinny. And they've recreated that a few years ago. Like they did a very expensive quartz watch. And also they still do all the dial stuff. So I think that they would, if you wanted to spend a absolutely insane amount of money with them, they would be able to recreate or, restore a vintage watch.
But I mean, I like this watch aesthetically. It looks really cool. I'm sure it's going to have a nice weight to it. It is pretty funky. It's a commitment. So I think the wearer is really, you're 60K or 70K, whatever it is, you're committing to a look and a vibe. But I like it. I want to see the person that buys this.
I would 100% see Jacob Elordi wearing this. You would see, Timothy Chalamet wearing this. You would see that, maybe not my generation of Hollywood celebrities that are locked into AP and Rolex, but the kids would 100% do it. It's a statement piece.
Yeah, probably some streetwear kids as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's move on to the actual LVMH Watch Week proper.
Well, hey.
if you're not aware of what LVMH Watch Week is, who even are you? It's obviously it's the start of the year, really. Informally, it sort of signals a year of watch releases. It's the first big event of the calendar. Obviously, LVMH brands, TAG Heuer, Hublot, Zenith, Bulgari. They're the main ones. There's a few others there. Kicking off with everyone's favourite automotive-inspired brand, TAG Heuer. Andy, what is your take on these two little hotties?
It's a couple of novelties. So obviously they released a suite. All of the brands released a suite of watches, but these are the sort of the novelties or the special ones that kind of stood out to us or the watch world. So the Carrera in steel is, I mean, I'm liking the direction of which the kind of the Carrera is going. Glass box, the kind of the strong heritage that Nicholas Babichuk has brought in. I like the green dial. I like the kind of circular pattern and how it sort of goes out. It's very different to your sort of traditional sunray, some kind of dial vibe that you get. I want to see it in person because there's a lot of green in the background of the photo and of the, I don't know if it clashes with the watch itself and the bezel.
Yeah, not the best photo in retrospect to have sort of shown the watch as a watch.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting. But I'm a fan. I think it'll be a kind of a nice kind of watch. Price-wise, whether they sort of around 10, 11K Aussie. So,
We'll getting up to 15, I reckon, these ones, aren't they?
There you go. Yeah, probably. The day window at 9 is kind of, it moves in every few years, I swear. It just kind of dances around the dial.
Well, no. I mean, to be honest, this is the Dado 45, and it's a reference from I don't know, it was a few years after the original Carrera. I'm going to say like 1968 or something. I could be wrong. That was a collector favourite, one of those cult pieces, and originally it sort of had a black dial. I think he did an LE a few years ago that was pretty well received. So I think I'm a big fan of chronographs that don't look like chronographs. And I mean, that's a real issue, I think, for a brand like TAG Heuer and a model like the Carrera that is so essentially a chronograph. Like it's a challenge to sort of mix it up, and I think this does that in a really nice way. What about the other one? What about this is the TAG Heuer Carrera Date, a plasma diamant avant-garde with yellow lab-grown diamonds.
Amazing. I mean, we've seen them play around with lab-grown diamonds for a couple of years now. What struck me about this was the evolution of the growing and what they're sort of doing, and how they're pushing it. So obviously the sort of logo, I want to call it the logo.
Shield.
But the shield has been grown from diamond, as has the crown. But the shield really struck me as sort of them kind of continuing to push the limits and the creativity with, lab grown and what it kind of offers.
Yeah, I'm into it. I mean, if this is priced anything like the other sort of plasma pieces, it's going to be ridiculous. Like it's what I think the other one was about $500,000.
Yeah. Yeah, like it was 550 something crazy. Yeah.
Don't be confused by the lab grown part of the diamond. This is a very serious watch. I don't know who's buying it, but I love that they're doing it.
Just imagine seeing someone wearing that on the street, and just going, "Oh, that," just organically bumping into someone. It would be a sight. It would be a sight for sore eyes. Okay, well done, TAG Heuer. What's next on our list? More TAG Heuer.
Yes. I thought this was worth just sort of quickly going through. There's also a new Caliber E4 that we haven't talked about. These are the new Aqua Racer Solographs, smaller size. The big story here is, I think, the one on the with the white dial, which is actually mother of pearl. It's apparently tricky to get a solar cell functioning underneath mother of pearl. It's good. I mean, this is more sort of, the previous two watches are the statement pieces. These are the ones that I suspect will maybe sell more volumes.
Yeah.
With the Dado will move a lot, I reckon.
Yeah, the Dado is really kind of coming up. But I mean, Aqua Racer is just an absolute icon. And it's just got such an important part in sort of the market and kind of still entering people into luxury watches. Especially in Australia, it is pretty significant here. So,
yeah, and I don't know if I said these are 34mm.
Yeah, and they age well as well. Like I know plenty of people that sort of in their 30s, early 40s that got an Aqua Racer for their 21st, or it was their first serious watch, and they got it, they wear it, and they're kind of forever happy with it. And there's something to be said about that.
Love to see it. All right,
cool.
Who's next, Andy? Zenith. Everyone
Zenith.
loves. What did you think of these? We haven't really talked about these. These were. We are talking about the what are they? The Chronomaster
Triple Cal.
Original Triple Cal.
I can see 3 dates. So that makes a triple cal. So a couple of dials, sort of an olive green and then a slaty grey. Zenith did a couple of interesting watches. I don't know what else is in the deck, but they've done some interesting stuff. Every year Zenith release stuff and I kind of go, these are great watches. These look good. What is missing from this equation? As we've sort of heard and covered off, new CEOs, new leaderships, so an interesting time. Contrary to the last, 5 minutes ago, I prefer the grey dial here. I think with the creamy kind of hands and markers, especially the moon face, the grey kind of works really nicely. So I'm pretty into it. Do you know the price?
Let me have a quick scoot around. The grey's the most vintage guy watch, isn't it? That's the biggest. Let me have
that faux Tina, and then the olive. I mean, the green is
12k CHF.
So roughly. Like 20. It's not far off 20k Australian, maybe 18. That's a lot to watch for 18, 19 grand.
I do have a slight issue with this, Andy.
Is it the date?
No, not until you pointed that out. Again, we're talking about, I don't know how big this watch is, I think it's just 38, 37. The PR spiel had we've found a prototype. It was like, they're still leaning really heavily into that mystical sort of heritage of produced in only 25 watches in the late 70s, the mythical triple calendar. I'm like, yeah, okay, yep. Anyway, okay. I like it. I think it's good. It's a bit of a no-brainer. I think you can do triple cals really badly. This one has been done pretty well.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, we'll see. El Primero, obviously, it's a famous movement as well, famous brand. Don't know about the straps. I think it needs a thinner strap. Maybe it looks a little padded. Anyway, all right. What's next on the agenda? More Zenith. Oh, okay. All right.
Chronomaster Sport.
Felix and Andy. If Zenith would have kind of turned us into watches.
Who's Felix and who's Andy?
You're the gem set, I guess. I'll be the green.
Okay.
Sporty boy.
Green. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. The new, basically for the green, it's a new colorway on the Chronomaster Sport, green dial, green strap, rubber bracelet. I think the hero here is that gem set meteorite dial.
That's meteorite, is it?
Oh, now you're having this. I had thought it was, but I could be wrong.
I mean, I've never seen kind of gold meteorite. It's always been kind of silver, but it does have the texture of meteorite. So that was my first question was, what is this dial made from?
Yep, meteorite.
It's meteorite, but gold. Okay. Well, that in itself is noteworthy.
You can color meteorite.
Okay. I'm learning more and more about meteorite. The sky is really the limit, or is it?
Or beyond the sky, outer space.
The strap beyond.
Full set bezel, sapphires, diamonds, and spinels, all gold, everything. It's cool. I saw Bilal Khan, who's a watch media guy from the States. He did some nice shots of it. Looks good on the wrist.
Yeah, and so it's sapphires around?
Diamonds, sapphires, and spinels.
Ooh, okay. Yep. So the diamonds sort of break it up. And then it's a bit brushed and polished. I mean, that is a very nice watch.
Pretty serious.
Yeah, that is nice though.
Yep.
Yeah, that's working for me.
That's my pick of the litter. I think that's the Zenith for me, if I had to have one.
If gun to your head.
Yeah.
House
What's
is on
next,
fire.
Andy? Who's the next brand we've got?
Hublot. This is very 2015 Hublot.
It's also very 2002 Oakley.
Which is in as well.
I don't mean that in a bad way. So this is a MP10 Tourbillon Weight Energy System Titanium. This is their 10th MP10, I think. Or MP series, I guess. MP9.
That's the 10?
Yep. Very complicated, 50 pieces limited edition, rotating sort of column display of the time. Winding system, I don't know. They've said it's a vertical winding system. Do you remember the TAG Heuer V4s?
Yes.
The Monaco V4s that had that sort of linear wind. I suspect it's a similar technology basis. I could be wrong.
This looks like you're gonna have to get the Hublot, the drill out, and
No. So it's automatic. That's why it's got those two little.
What's
It's
the
only
thing
got
at the top?
48 hours of power reserve, and it's
Okay.
got things that go up and down rather than round and round. This is what I can do on video. I can make little hand gestures.
So what's this? This is the crown then.
Time setting crown.
Oh, okay.
And that's the time is it's 10:10. You can just see it's 10:10 there, and there'll be some other stuff going on the sides.
Fascinating. Okay, what does this $700,000 watch cost?
That's a great question. I don't know off the top of my head.
It's not a Ferrari collab then?
No, Ferrari's now Richard Mille,
Richard Mille, yeah.
and as is Lewis Hamilton.
Other news. Okay, this is an interesting
250,000 francs.
Okay, I mean, it's not
Not
MBNF,
stupid
it's MBNF territory. It's sort of the other side of what Hublot are sort of known for and do.
I don't hate it. I quite like it, to be honest.
Yeah. What was the you know, one of those like Stingray bracelets and you'd be good to go. Do you remember those? Remember the Stingray diamond leather bracelets, like the wraparounds of all the trend sort of 10 years ago? Everyone would post like Hublot.
Oh, yes.
With the Ferrari or the Lamborghini in the background, and it was those Stingray bracelets. And there was one person in America, one jeweler that just really took off and became famous for it. Okay.
Sure. Yep. I know. I imagine someone local to Australia that would have worn them. That we're both thinking of.
More Hublot.
Yes, this is the two. I quite like these. Richard Olinsky tourbillons, skeleton in yellow and sky blue, ceramic cases, matching rubber straps. Again, this is not revolutionary for them, except for the new colorways. I quite like the yellow. I think the contrast between the skeletonization and the yellow is good, but the pastel blue is fairly trendy too. 30 pieces each.
Wow.
It is what it is.
Well, what I like about this, you mentioned the yellow, but the sky blue we saw, I mean, for a couple of years now. There was the dusty, what was it, the dusty pink? I can't remember what that was called. Like
There was the aluminium ones.
Yeah, was it modern pink or something?
Millennial pink.
Millennial pink. And then they blew, and I liked that there's some consistency with these colors, like they're kind of carrying them on for several years. The Olinsky has been around for a few years and they haven't chopped and changed, which is, I feel like a lot of brands do something and then chop very quickly out of it if it doesn't work, or
You've got to commit, and I've said this, a lot. Like I think the ones that they do with saying blue and Olinsky and even the MP10, like before, it's their most interesting design work. Like it pushes the brand forward, like with that sort of faceted case.
Yeah, it's
the sort of the vehicle for innovation within the brand.
Yeah, but they commit to the colors and the shapes, and they've kind of continued on. I think this is a really kind of cool and fitting take for a skeleton dial. The whole construction, and the sort of the lack of symmetry works well with such a symmetrical and angled case. It looks. This is a very cool watch, especially. I mean, I like the sky blue, but the yellow touches on the yellow one. I find that very, very cool. So yeah,
you put that yellow one on a black ballistic nylon strap, it would look really, really nice.
Yeah, amazing. More Hublot. Wow, I can't get enough.
Yes, so we can probably whip through these. That is the one on the right. The big green one is the Big Bang Unico Green Saxum, which is that's some new sort of chemical structure of.
The sapphire. The sapphire is different. Okay.
It looks a lot better than the yellow one, which I think was last year, which wasn't to my taste. And the other ones are a brace of 32mm Spirit of Big Bang jewelry pieces in pave and rainbow options.
Yeah, I mean, they've done the pave in various iterations. Obviously, they've now got a kind of the graduation up the dial, and of course the strap, which they do. So yeah, they commit to the gem set line.
I think we've seen all these before in bigger sizes.
Yeah, is it okay? This is smaller, is it? More kind of
32. Yep, they're quite small.
Oh, okay. It's a medium bang.
It's the Big Bang 32mm. It's still a big bang. It still makes a big impact. Oh,
Bulgari.
Tell me what we're looking at here, Andy. What do we got?
A couple of Octo Finissimos.
Yes. Steel and Tuscan copper. I think.
Okay.
Custom copper. It's Italian, Bulgari. And yellow, gold, and blue. I don't know. I'm sure there's some sort of fancy name, but again, line extensions, but quite cool line extensions. In our Discord, which you should all be on, there was quite a few fans of these.
Yeah.
Would you believe the Octo Finissimo is 10 years old this year, I think?
Stop it.
Uh-huh.
Wow. No.
We've been doing this for too long.
I remember when it came out, and I remember it being the next Royal Oak when it came out. Amazing.
My main question is, when are we going to get a slightly smaller one?
That was the thing you asked because I still remember I went into the office, saw you wearing it, talked about it, and you kind of said, look, it's a bit big for me. And you've got wrists.
Famously meat hooks.
You've got wrists. And so guys like me have been kind of wondering, I mean, in certain iterations you can get away. Like they've got the carbon one, the black one, that's super light and wears really well. I have been wondering the same thing. And I think this is
a year.
Well, I think this is an interesting take on a very big brand sort of launching and developing a product over time. Like the good thing here is we get to watch like what 10 years of sort of R&D and development and marketing can kind of do for what, like you have all the resources in the world to kind of get this and make it a success, and sort of how you go about it. I mean, probably the only thing is that it has been missing for me was like a massive celebrity endorsement wearing it. Like nothing comes to mind, but why this hasn't been on the wrists of...
Maybe Bulgari don't do ambassadors in that way.
But LVMH do, and...
Yeah, like why haven't they paid,
some Italian...
worth of
yeah,
chunk,
yeah, like a George Clooney level.
Yeah, some cool Italian-esque old
because
dude.
the price points of the steel ones is not outrageous. It's not crazy.
Yeah.
The kind of gateway into their jewelry, which is crazy, getting people into the Bulgari ecosystem, because there is like a heap of brand awareness and sort of, I don't know. I feel like it's an opportunity.
Cool.
But yeah, nice work. Blue and...
If you have any suggestions for who the perfect ambassador for the Bulgari Octo Finissimo is, let us know. Comments, Discord.
Could be Felix and I now that we are on video. Like this could be an Octo Finissimo.
Look, it's pretty skinny. Could be skinnier.
For the whole... Instead, it's my...
What are you wearing there? I can't even see.
It's my G-Shock. It's my Dial Artist modified OT G-Shock.
Ooh, OG.
Yeah, the original sort of... What was that? Like Ep 1 throwback. All right. More Bulgari.
Yes.
Talk me through these creations.
All right, Bulgari. That's the classic sort of round watch, which is a little bit Vegemite for some people. Two new sizes, 26 mil and 38 mil, automatic movements, new dials like rose gold and opaline, and black matte and yellow gold.
So it's opaline. It's not malachite.
No, sorry. That's I didn't do a picture of the Bulgari in. It's basically those two you're seeing there, but rose gold with a white dial. The other one is a Lucia.
Okay.
With stone dials. There's a mother of pearl, but this one is a sort of malachite mosaic, which just quietly might be my favorite release of the whole week.
Okay, interesting.
For the dial.
It is, I mean, if you close your eyes, if you're not joining us for this video experience, if you close your eyes, it's got a weird snake kind of stepped bracelet. It's two-tone. It's got a diamond bezel. It's got a kind of red crown, which is out of there, and then stone, I guess, and then the stone dial, the malachite dial, as you said, is mosaic, so offcuts of other dials, I guess. So they've kind of fitted all together, and then it's got diamond hour markers.
You know what? Do you know what this dial reminds me of? And apologies to any marketing managers of Bulgari listening. I suspect we're not going to get sponsorship. I really do love this watch. I'm going to caveat saying that. Have you ever been to like Sovereign Hill or one of those old-timey places where they make rock candy?
Yeah.
It's that. It looks like rock candy.
It does. Look, if this is kind of offcuts or...
Don't say offcuts.
It's not offcuts, but if this is...
a high luxury watch, Andy.
If this is sort of like upcycling or creative, like I'm here for it. I think it's a very
smaller
creative...
stones. Like I think it's more economical not to get a big...
Yeah.
26 quality, piece of it. And you can just, I think it's a really interesting, and it's a good lean in with their Roman heritage of, mosaic and terracotta and
that whole thing's beautiful. Like the whole art of mosaic it's a proper art form.
Yeah.
And it looks really interesting and cool. And I imagine every dial is then pretty much unique, or, I mean, I don't know the technique, but maybe they make 5 that kind of have the same, but all of the, the veins in the malachite stone are going to be different.
You pop that dial for me and say that men's Bulgari on the left.
Yeah.
I'd go there.
I reckon you would. Yeah. I mean, cool. It's interesting. It's different. Have a look at it. Tell us in the comments if you know someone who would wear this.
I've always loved malachite as well, so
Yeah, it's a beautiful stone. It sort of feels like it's the year of malachite. All right, yeah. What's next?
I think that might be it. There might be some more. No, that's it.
That's it. We'll stop sharing. Amazing. Our first proper video. There'll be intro music. There'll be outro music. We'll have guests join us in this format
once we work out how to use video. I got to go. Well, you've got to go. We've got busy lives to lead. Before we do that, what do we need?
All right. We're just getting started, so bear with us. Give us any constructive feedback in our Discord. Nice. We'll link it up. Be nice.
Don't be like my brother.
Don't be like Morgan. We'll figure it out. Join our Discord. Follow us on Instagram, ot.podcast. ot.podcast at gmail.com if you need to email us anything, which you probably don't.
Yep. This advertising space behind us, I don't know if we mentioned that, is for sale. Like if you want my blind, you can see, we can, depending on the week, I can like roll it up and to roll it down if we're sponsored or not. I'm open to sell parts of my office to various commercial interests.
Like, follow, subscribe. We'll see you next week or next time.